Okay, so I'll make a start. First of all, hi everybody. My name is Justin Burton. I've been for a number of years the product manager for apps for kids at Dassault Systems. And I want to take you through just a short presentation focusing on a little bit about why we did Classroom and what Classroom is, and I'll explain that obviously further in a second. We're going to take a look at it. So we're going to dive in there and take a look. Then we'll look a little bit behind the scenes of how I set my workflow up and what I used. And then we'll talk about how to get access at the end, and we'll follow that obviously with some questions. So when this is going back a number of years now, I'm thinking 2016, I could be wrong. It's been very busy for a long period of time, so it's hard to know what date. But when we looked at who we serve as a business, as Dassault Systems, it was very clear to us, obviously the professionals, college students, universities, and then some lower sort of age brackets within schools are served by our existing product range. But not just looking at where we could go, but also the conversations we were having, whether it be with our own kids, families. And it was very clear that it was very hard to get the passion and the love of what we had across to others in a way that they would understand and they would be inspired. So alongside that, and the movement of STEAM activities being pushed in educational institutions, and then obviously the ability for lower cost, lower powered devices to take advantage of the web, we decided to create what we call apps for kids. We target this at that lower age range, so anywhere from 4 to 14, and we very soon realized that is a very big sort of developmental sort of gap from 4 to 14. Lots and lots of things change. I have a 3-year-old, and I've just seen how much she's learned in the past 6 months, let alone 10 years as we're looking at here. So we really thought it was important not just to look at what we do and think, how can we take that message across to kids, but to make it manageable and easy for them to understand. So we took the design sort of cycle or process or workflow, however you want to call it, it's very common to many businesses and companies and engineering companies out there, and put it into bite-sized pieces. So you can see from ideation, creation, enhancement, production, we made small bite-sized apps that could take parts of what those different stages in the workflow are, and then inspire and obviously educate, but also help kids understand and see what other opportunities are out there when it comes to design, engineering, art, and other topics like that. So what I'm going to talk about today is Classroom. So we have apps for kids, and I will show exactly what the differences are and where Classroom or what Classroom becomes. But as we went out there with apps for kids, we had a lot of feedback, particularly from educators who really loved what we were doing, but always had this question of how can we take advantage of apps for kids? How can we manage all of those accounts? Because when we created this, we were very influenced in a way by the privacy rules. And so making sure that when you sign up, you have to have parents' permission if you're under a certain age. Obviously in a classroom situation or in any educational situation, so for a Fab Lab, that educational situation, you don't want to have to go and try and manage all of those accounts, getting parental permission. There must be a better way of doing it. And that's where Classroom came in. That's one of the big focuses and reasons why we created Classroom. So like literally one slide that helps me explain what Classroom is. It's a safe place for educators to teach, all about using not just 3D, but 3D as a medium. So we'll see, and we'll go through some of the topics that we can share sample lessons of. These aren't just about engineering. These are about using 3D as a medium, as a communication, as something that's fun to help educate and share about other topics as well. And those topics can go from maths to art, to space. It really can be anything that you can teach utilizing the different apps we have. Now the 5 apps that we have within the Apps for Kids environment are all available in Classroom. It is all through a browser. There is no, in the Classroom environment, we say it's safe, there's no student sort of personal data that's required. We don't ask for any of that. They don't have to have an email address. So kids under, I think it's the age of 13 in the US, it may have increased, but I think we took in Apps for Kids, I think 16 is the standard age. That seems to work all around the world. But we don't require an email address from kids, so we don't collect that personal data. It's controlled access, so teachers, and I'm using teachers very broadly. It doesn't mean you have to use this within a school. You can use this with any sort of education environment. Teachers is a broad name for the educator, the person who is controlling and creating the data and sharing it to the kids, and then possibly marking it or reviewing it later. So it's controlled access, it's limited distraction. So this is a separate environment to kids. So that means that the public shared projects that are in Apps for Kids do not show up in Classroom. This is just what the educator wants to share with the students, they can share. There's a lot of sample curriculum as well that is available. So what I wanted to do is just straight away take you into the product that we have and take a look around and show you what's possible. So I'm going to touch on a few apps, shape it, style it, possibly print it, depending on time and how we go. I'm going to take this example workflow that I've got here where we're going to start with what the teacher or educator can do, and then we'll go through into some workflows that a student might want to go through, and then finally back to the teacher to create something real, you know, as a possibility. And we'll show some other variations of this. It's not always about 3D printing, so we'll show some other examples. This is the design that I'm going to use, or the model that I'm going to use. You can see the one in the middle, we created an F. It's actually from my daughter. Her name's Francine, so created an F for that one. And I printed out some different variations, and the little Lego man is just to show a little bit of scale. But this is a nice little example of how kids can create something separately, but bring them back together. And as long as they don't model or change anything in the red, then all of the pieces will fit together and they can create this extended bridge. So I'm going to jump into the app. And as an educator, so I'm the teacher right now, I have my sort of dashboard here, and I can manage all of the different teachers that I invite. So as an admin, I can invite other teachers. And that's really the only difference between admins and teachers. Admins can invite teachers into the platform. We have a list of students. So you can create your own students. So you just need a screen name. That's what you see. So at the top here where I've got Mr. Burton, that's my surname. So you can see there, Abhishek is a student. So thank you. You will be part of this demonstration, Abhishek. And the username is AB2020. The password, I've just kept it default, but you can set a default password and then the students can change their own to give them sort of controlled access to what they create. And we'll show a student environment in a second. And then the contact email is always by default teachers. So I've created all these accounts, so it's me. But you can actually change that. So if you do want to use a parent's email, then you can do that. But by default, it is always the teacher that's creating the account. And we also have a workflow here. I won't go into the full workflow, but if you have a CSV file or you can create one, you can import students directly into the platform from a list. So you don't have to create these manually, they can be imported from a CSV. Now, what you would then do is create a class. And when you're creating classes, so here's one I've done for the bridge. And when you're creating classes, all you do is you can either add from a list, so you just pick out the students that you want to add. I think it's not showing them because I've actually added all the students to this class. I should have checked that before. Otherwise, you would just type the name of the student and click add. So it depends on how many you're adding. But you do the same with teachers. You can give it a name, You can make a class inactive as well, so if you don't want anyone to see it while you're setting it up, you just make it inactive. And then you can also change the color. That's how I've displayed a number of colored classes here, just to help me understand which class is which. Now, we have, I think it's around 10 to 12 individual, and then there's kind of double because we have design thinking lessons as well. But these lessons are developed to show a full sort of range. And in fact, I will just take the document here, just download it so you can see it. And then what this is a quick start for the bridges example. I'm just downloading that, so once that's downloaded, I'll show the exact how it looks, the document. But it's a full workflow giving some background about bridges, and it helps you could teach a class around this quick start lesson. And then as you can see, there's a number of them, from nano machines to jewelry to space to food to animals, that can also, they're all, the criteria is all there. You can teach classes based on all of these different subjects. They include the marking criteria if you want to do that. They include design thinking and a lot of them. So yeah, there's a wide range of information that you can get from these sample lessons. Alongside the sample lessons, you may also find that they have apps for kids models in there as well. So when you see this icon, that means that you can just copy the apps for kids project. If I go over to my project here, what you'll see is the bridge template design is right there. And as a teacher, all I'm going to do is I'm going to share that bridge template, because I don't need to change it, straight to the bridges class, and that's me ready to go. I'm ready now to teach the lesson with the document and share the model with the kids. So let's just quickly log out. The difference between a kids account, as I mentioned, is emails, and kids don't have them. So what we do is we simply log in with the standard password, and this is Abhishek's account. So I'm just going to log in here, and I don't need to remember. Because Abhishek was in the class for bridges, you'll see actually, I think there was maybe 5, 6, 7 classes in my personal account. But when Abhishek sees it, because he's not part of all of those classes, he's only able to see these 4. So he would just go into his class as advised by the teacher, and he can see the bridge template here. And when they look at them, they get this option for riffing, and riff just means that they're able to copy that project to their own private project area. So I've clearly done something in the past here, but this is the one we want to use. So I'll just take the template and we'll take a look at it and create our own bridge design. I did mention before, this is browser-based. You see me using Chrome here. I'm using Book because I wasn't able to use my my computer. But this is a 5-year-old Chromebook, so there really isn't a high requirement on the devices that you're using. So here I'm just going to create the most simple bridge, and we call this, well, I guess the idea of this bridge design came from the fact that we have a tool inside of Apps for Kids called Bridge. So all I simply need to do is select one face on one side, one face on the other, and we have a little tool here that just joins those things together, and that's how we bridge the gap across here. So this is not going to be a bridge that somebody could walk over. Maybe they could just use their hands and traverse the gap. But that's my very, very simple, and I'm just going to keep it very simple, bridge design. And just to show you some of the interactions we have in here, it's mainly just push and pull. And you just simply select a face, push and pull it in whatever direction or rotate it. Or as you can see, using a building blocks approach, you just add. And we really did take kind of ideas off products like Minecraft. Really, these are adding blobs to the design, whereas in Minecraft, obviously, you add cubes. This is just adding an extra blob, and then you just manipulate that blob. So that will do. That will be my my design. So I'll call it my bridge. It's not very descriptive, but that's fine. And then I'll just quickly show how these apps all work together. So this is Shape It. We're going to transition over to Style It. We're just going to take a quick look at how you can scale these projects within the Style It app. So the different apps, as I said, are different parts of the workflow. Style It is all about changing the color, drawing on the model. So here, if I want to change the overall color, I can just bring up the color palette here, or I can just pick out a single color for a face that I want to add, and I can just click on that face to add that color. We can drag around the model as well to just drag over the different faces. Obviously, I haven't dragged around to the back here, so I'll just call those orange as well. And then we'll go to the drawing part of this. Again, I'm not going to go through this like I would and make sure this is all nice and perfect, but what I will do is just quickly scribble on the side of this face here. It's very hard to use this Chromebook touchpad, but that's fine. Whatever that little drawing is, the point about these drawings is that they are attached to the model. So you could draw anything. So maybe a nice face would have been better that I could have done. But to save my drawing skills, we can actually go into the sticker panel here. If I open that up, and we can go through this panel and find any sticker design. So maybe I'll put, I think I said a face before, so I'll put a face on the model. It can be anything, so whatever the sticker is, I'll put a flower on there as well. And these you can change color. Obviously, for this case here, the face has a orientation, so I'll just twist this around. Maybe I'll just show as well how you can change the color. And we'll just pick out purple. That's fine. We've got a nice face. As well as that, you can change the background. Probably doesn't make sense here, but let's go for it. Let's put the bridge in space. I'm happy with that. And then following that, all I need to do now is, as a student, I come back. I'm happy with my little design that I've created, and Abhishek is ready to share it. So whatever you think of the modeling, wasn't me that created it. It was Abhishek that created this. So I will share that to the class. Okay, so you can see all the shared class things. And again, this is now a place, obviously the kids are only able to see what the educators shared to them. So again, as I said, it's a nice safe environment, and also it keeps the kids' minds focused on the requirement at hand, or the project at hand. So as a teacher, I can now see what the students have created, and we can either filter out based on, we've got a filter here, so I think if I click Francino, then that just shows that green bridge, because that's the one that was created by that user. These are all the users that are part of that class, and then we could just share or filter if I wanted to Abhishek's model. What I'm going to do as a teacher is riff that, because what I'd like to do now is print it. So we're going to that next stage of production, and I can either open up the bridge from here and then go to the printer app, or I can just straight away go to the app itself. You see, this is the app switcher. It gives you access to every app that we have, and you can just click on that and then to open that project. What this will do is, because Print It needs something, it will then ask, from all of the things that you've got, what do you want to print? So we're going to say the My Bridge. Abhishek, you couldn't do it better. And then from Print It, what Print It will do is give us a few options. They're able to do it. It's not just about 3D printing. 3D printing is obviously available. You would just click on the 3D print button. You might have noticed it did all the conversion to STL in the background there. So now we've got the printed or printable object in a volume, which is kind of a standard volume for 3D printers. So a desktop printer, it's not a huge one, it's a standard desktop. And you can increase the copies and then download the STL. We also have a partnership with Sindo. So if you've got a 3DVox printer, you can, as long as it's connected, you can generate a code on that printer and directly connect your account, your Apps for Kids account, and this works in Apps for Kids and in Classroom. You can directly connect your account to the printer and then send it, and it will use the sort of Sindo default slicer settings to automatically slice it, create all the G code, and all you do is you walk up to the printer and press go. And the way that you set it up is very much like if you've connected a smart TV to YouTube or something like that, where you need a code. So you get a code from the printer and you just type it in here. It's very easy to do. But we know that not everybody has got 3D printers, and that's perfectly fine. So what we do here is offer some other options. And those other options are just a flat 2D print, so you can position your model. I'll hide my terrible sketch. We'll position the model how I want it to print, and then you just print it to a normal printer. Or you can do color by numbers, we call it, which for all the faces that have colored or been colored, it gives you a little key, and then it gives you all the numbers. So you could print this out now, and then just go ahead and start to color in your design to match the model that you created. So it's more of a, I guess, a project-based workflow, but we think it's quite fun. And obviously for a more intricate model, it can be more fun. Finally, QPrint, probably my favorite of the printing options. Again, if you haven't got a 3D printer, this is a great way to introduce 3D to kids. It's almost like Karate Kid in that these views that you're seeing on here are the same type of views you would use in a real engineering drawing. The different projections that you would place on an engineering drawing are exactly what you see here. And it all comes from a 3D model that has a box around it, and you're just looking at the different faces of that glass box to create these views. So it's kind of the reverse approach. What we're going to do is allow you to print this out, you cut it, and then you just stick it on the tabs, and then you've got now a 3D representation of a 3D model without having to have any sort of 3D printer. So the only thing we're going to sort of finish off, we do have an extensive range of videos. So we have some getting started videos for the students to learn. That's a short amount of videos on the getting started, but we also have a video library on the website, which has got videos about all the different individual features that we have in all the apps, and then it also has kind of getting started on all the different apps themselves, and more, some projects as well, how to create an elephant, how to create an aeroplane, a dinosaur. We try to be quite varied on the different things, a canoe. There's lots of different how-to videos on the video library as well, which is all accessible through the app itself. We want people's feedback, so if you do use this, please tell us what you think. Send us the feedback. That's why we create this. We want the feedback. We want to make this better. So we do ask everyone. We make it very obvious that there's a way to give us feedback there. So we've gone through this whole process here. We've gone from the lesson content that we had. We created the model, or we didn't have to create it because the lesson content had it there. We created the class. We shared that model, and we shared it with the student. The student riffed it, created their own version, made their own design, and then shared that back to the class for others to see, and also for the educator to see. And then finally, back to the teacher. We could have 3D printed it, we could Q print it, we can print numbers, or just simply print it out. So we've got maybe 5 or 6 minutes. I'm not going to go through much of this setup. I think I've already talked a lot about this, but just some sort of high-level points. We say 100 licenses. It's not a hard cap, but it's kind of an advised cap at the moment. Welcome to contact us if you want to go higher, but there's about 100 licenses available to use for free. You just simply go to the website, and I'll explain that in a second. Once you've got your account, you set up your teachers by inviting them by email, then you set up the students by creating their accounts, create the classes, The classes, obviously, you share the content to the classes that you create. And then we have I don't need to go to the student, we've seen that already, but we have 12 curriculum-based lessons. These are all created in partnership with educators, so these are all curriculum-based. And 2 quick start lessons, these are the keyring and the bridge that I explained. And we're always going to be adding more to this as well. And as I said, there's some great ideas in these lesson plans. I mean, this is creating a dolphin tail. For a dolphin who's lost the tail, that's one of the examples. Got some new foods, flying machines, animals and habitats, just to name a few of the plans. And you can see across the bottom, you've got the rubric there in the brown sort of colours. You've got some of the step-by-step guides, and then you've got some of the background information on some of these different topics as well. This is how this information is shared. So one thing I didn't mention too much, but there is a whole design thinking exercise for each one of those. So we go through the whole sort of design thinking process for the different, it's not just for these 4, it's for all 12 of those examples and the lesson plans that we have. So the only sort of next step that we would like you to take is go to our website, www.swapsforkids.com. On there, you can go to the educators. It's tab is right here. Just click that, and then right at the bottom of that page, and we are going to make it very soon more obvious where Classroom is. But right at the bottom of that page, you can sign up once you've learned about what the kind of idea is for educators. You can sign up for Classroom, and then we will, once approved, you'll get your account and you can go through everything that I've shown. And we've only got a small group here. I wanted to just put it out there that I'm happy to help anybody on board. If you want to use Apps for Kids Classroom in your Fab Lab, I'm happy to do any sort of onboarding, getting started, whatever help I can give. So there's my email address. Feel free to contact me. So thank you. So Abhishek, did we have any questions?
I don't see any question right now, but if you guys are if you have, okay, so one from Behnas, is that a question? For the sake of evaluating children's learning, maybe it would be nice to ask some questions or pop-ups while they are in the different stages of design. So that's a good suggestion, right?
Yeah, we have we've looked at other apps and other sort of workflows, and we've also looked into kind of step-by-step kind of walkthroughs in a more sort of almost like a storybook type fashion to explain the concepts, to give a challenge, they complete the challenge, they go to the next step. These are things that we have explored, not yet implemented, but I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so Kelly Hearn from, I think, FabLab Houston, she's asking, has this been tried in a group of online-only learners, or has it been mainly used for in-person classes?
We definitely have seen a surge in use over these times of COVID. So definitely it's been used. I can think of a lady, Jackie Tan. I think she's based on the west coast of the US. We worked with her to help build a video library as well for her online learning. Just using the videos that we have available to us for all the different features, she asked us to create a list, but she has done really amazing work with the children that she works with in her, I think it's like an after school activity that she does. But yeah, it's definitely seen it being used in online only environments.
Okay, so Mahmoud Atif is asking, is it a free app?
Yes, it is. Yeah, if you go to the website, there are 2 variations of the app. One is the standard Apps for Kids environment, which is a public environment. You can share your designs with everybody who's signed up, and that's if you just go to log in, or try now actually is the registration. It's free to register, If you want to use the classroom environment, which for anyone who's working with like multiples of students and kids, I would greatly advise that. And those kids, they can be of any age, even like adult kids, as long as it's a one-to-many or a few-to-many environment. I would advise the classroom environment. But yes, free.
Okay. Yeah, that's about it. Let me just double check. Yeah, Greg is making a comment. I like the organic shape manipulation. That's a very different approach to something like Tinkercad.
Yeah, it was one of the things that we had right from the start, and that was kind of where the app was invented, was in this organic shape creation. And the idea is to just keep making that as easy as possible. The approach we had of the blobs, adding the blobs together, really makes it accessible. You don't have to manipulate something that's already created. You can always just start from very simple sort of foundations. And we do have like some sample blobs of sample shapes like spheres and cubes and cones. I'm trying to think of the other ones that we have. Oh, like donuts. We have different shapes that you can bring in and manipulate together, or you can just push and pull to manipulate them themselves as well. It's very cool. I mean, I can just, if I scroll down here on the website, there's some feature projects here, and these are kids that are creating these things. You can really create anything. So we've got snakes. This is Mech-It. We didn't talk about this, but this is a way that you create different mechanisms. And those, it's a 2D environment, and you create a mechanism, and you can play it back and use things like markers, and those markers can then, okay, there's a very slow motor on this one, but those markers can then draw out different things. So if you want to test some motion, do simple machines, this one is quite a cool little spirograph type thing. But yeah, lots and lots of capabilities, or kind of, you can, whatever you can think of, you can probably get to do some part in Apps Kids.
And Justin, do we have videos for all of these applications, right?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, just below where I am actually is the video, or the start of the video library. This is just the sort of highlights. You can go to the whole page. There's, I don't know, 50, 60 videos there of the different ones. But yeah, we go from, this is obviously Mech-It, we've got Shape It there. We've even got videos just explaining the environment. We've got one for Classroom. That one at the bottom right there is for Print It. But yeah, we've got videos that cover all applications, from a like getting started point of view to like tips on particular features. Again, all available on the video page of the website.
Okay, so I have a question from Aiden. Could you discuss the rationale for using organic shapes? Oh, okay. Yeah, Justin, I think your voice was breaking. Should I go with the question?
Yes, I mean, the original originally, I don't mind. I think so. Okay, I'll come back to here. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, now we can hear you. Okay.
So
yeah, sure.
The organic shape side of it was kind of where this started. What we do have the ability to do is also work with the same shape, but in a hard edge, as we call it, sort of fashion. So I'll pause talking because I think it breaks up at this point.
Justin, if you try turning off your video, that might help.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's just while the page is loading. I noticed it before when I was hearing other voices. So the shape itself can either be rounded, or it can be sharpened. What I mean by that is more of a hard edge, flat surface shape. Now these can be stretched, manipulated in the same way as the curved faces. So I can move like the face up, or I can move the edge across, however. But obviously this is now a hard shape. We just found that the organic shape side of it, it's easier to make more things, and there seems to be less of a limitation in what you're making. We are trying to encourage fun and creating a fun things to kind of engage and aid that learning. So I think the want and need to create something extremely accurate in apps for kids that we have is kind of offset by the need to make a fun, easy to use sort of manipulation to then be able to create really anything. I can show some examples of the different things that you can create, but you can really go as complex as you like. I've seen some amazing things being created, from like models of Star Wars, TIE fighters, and things that look very real, to just obviously the most simple of things.
Okay. Yeah, so Greg is saying that organic shapes do take more advantage of the 3D printing process and make stronger parts due to fewer or no stress concentrations, right? One question I think we missed is, Kelly is asking, is there a recommended age group for this app?
So yeah, when we first started, there was we had this 4 to 14. We would probably say that somewhere in the middle, maybe the 8 to 10 is kind of the prime age. However, personally, I love creating things on here, so the age limit, there isn't one. But when it comes to capabilities, one of the best examples I can give was I think it was two brothers that came in one of our early testing sessions that we had with some of our user groups for SolidWorks and sort of people, and they tested it. And we had one of the brothers was in Shape It, and the other one was in Style It. And the first brother, who was a bit older, probably around 10, 12, was making something in Shape It and then sharing it to the gallery. And then the younger brother, about 6 or 7, was riffing that model and then drawing on it, painting it, changing the colors, changing the background, adding stickers. And then what we found, they started to share back and forward, and the kid who was doing the styling, so the stickers, the colors, adding to the model, was pestering his older brother to hurry up and finish that change so I can like add my new colors to it or stickers to it. It was a really sort of like great thing to see how the kids can not only be creating separately but also be engaged together with apps for kids. So what I was kind of getting to there is the different apps I think can be applicable to the different age ranges. You can take any creation and color it, add stickers, draw on it, and just add to it. And that's what, if you think about what kids do when they're young, they color in a coloring book that's already drawn, or they add stickers. Like my daughter loves adding stickers to everything everywhere. They love doing this. But if they want to create something themselves, then obviously there's tools there. But I would say particularly the 3D tools that we have are maybe for creation are on the sort of 8 to 10 sort of age range. I wouldn't say any kids younger than that couldn't use it, because it's amazing what kids can do. But then we also have apps like one I'm about to show now, Capture It, which really is a painting app. So it's something just very simple. You can sort of draw in here. Again, I'm just using my Chromebook, so I'm purposely just doing some squiggles. And we've seen, again, pictures being created on here and shared to the gallery that are just amazing. But yeah, we've tried to make apps that could, be applicable to really young kids, but at the same time have apps that all work together to be applicable to the higher sort of range of that 4 to 14.
Okay, so yeah, we don't have other questions. That's it.
Okay, so as I mentioned, my email address is there. I did type it right. I was just thinking in my mind, did I make a mistake? But no, it's correct. So feel free to email me if you have any questions, or if you're interested in starting up and trying Apps for Kids Classroom or Apps for Kids. I'm happy to give you a little introduction to it. But otherwise, the website is there. I think Abhishek was going to paste it into the chat as well. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for the questions. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, week, weekend, and